So some of the lilacs have started to bloom here at the garden center, especially the dwarf varieties. The others, the larger varieties, are heavily budded and cracking. So we're talking literally almost hours away. It would not surprise me if this weekend we see them start to open up, at least here at Waters Garden Center, which means throughout the county, they're going to be blooming. I thought I would take a moment and just explain uh, lilacs. There's so many varieties. I probably have 12 or more types or varieties of lilacs in the garden center right now. All of them are going to bloom this spring. So it's always been forsythia, then flowering quince, then lilacs, and it's just kind of a wave of different shrubs that start to bloom. And lilacs are those classic tall pinnacles, great big flowers that are super fragrant, like lilac fragrance. They will fill up an entire landscape with this beautiful fragrance. And as soon as we hit 70, that seems to be their trick. They kind of go, okay, that's it. I'm in bloom. And they'll bloom for about 6 weeks or so. Well, it depends on the variety. That's why we're going to go into this, kind of explain it to you. And so how do I really simplify this in 6 minutes or less? There's really two main varieties of lilacs as far as sizes go. There's the tall version. These are the ones that you and your grandparents grew these. Your grandmother was famous for her lilacs, and they were lining the driveway, and she'd pick some and bring them indoors. The entire inside of the house would smell of lilac. That's a tall variety. They get up easily head high to, it's 6, 7, 8, 9 feet tall, vase shaped, about 6 feet wide, kind of this beautiful, so I take a white lilac. I love the fragrance of white, a tall one, and I put it on the west side of my house because my office downstairs just bakes. Oh, it gets so hot. It's ridiculous. So I put a lilac there to just shade the lower level. So it's a 2-story house. I just wanted this one room, my office, where I do a lot of creative writing and things. I wanted this to be cooled. And so I put a white standard size lilac. It's up about 8 feet tall. It's perfect. It's doing the absolute, just exactly what I wanted. It loses its foliage in the winter. So I get the solar gain. So I get the heat in the winter, but I get the shade in the summer. And that's how you use deciduous plants. That's a great way to add shade. And then you get the winter heat. So this is perfect. It's in bloom right now, or starting to crack, or it's just going into bloom, and it will be in fragrance for at least 6 weeks, maybe longer. And then right after it's done blooming, it starts to leaf out. So there's also another variety called a dwarf or bloomerang, or just dwarfed varieties of lilacs. Now these only get hip high. They're much shorter, and they come in different colors as well. Basically variations of pink, blue, purple. These are its colors. And so you're seeing those starting to bloom again right now. So they all seem to bloom all at the same time. The beauty with dwarf varieties, they take no maintenance. I mean, you don't have to prune them. They just stay these cute little balls. The flowers are a little bit shorter. That is, they're only maybe 6 inches long instead of 8 or 9, but they have way more of them. So you'll see flowers. There'll be twice as many flowers on a dwarf variety. So we call them bloomerang, or variations of that name. Bloomerangs are noted for repeat blooming, so coming back around to bloom. That's the take on the name, bloomerang. The beauty is, so they only get hip high, and mine bloomed 3 times last year. So they bloomed in spring when the lilacs always bloom. They bloomed again in the monsoon season. So when it starts to rain, they'll go into bloom. And mine was in bloom in the fall while it was turning fall colors as this beautiful aspen gold foliage, just stunning. But it was in bloom at the same time. So I've got gold in this purple flower. It was magical. So 3 times. So that's the beauty of some of your dwarf varieties. There is no large variety of lilac that will repeat bloom, just once in the spring, and then you're done. Then you have another wave. That's when your Rosa Sharon, your roses, your smoke bush, your Russian sage, salvias, you design to have different plants coming into bloom at different times. So there are different variations of that. So now you've got Korean lilac, which is basically a dwarf variety. Stays shorter, easier, kind of thick and full, classic, beautiful flower, lots of flowers, but it doesn't repeat bloom. So it's got its place for it. It's a step in between the standard and the shorter ones. So look at the different varieties. You've got French lilacs. French lilacs are the bright colors, the bright reds, the really bright purples, deep, richer color. I find the French lilacs, they don't have the fragrance. They have the color, but they don't have the fragrance that you would expect from a lilac. So if you want fragrance, go for the standard size or the dwarfed varieties. All lilacs are incredibly drought hardy. So they're very robust. So you treat them like a tree. Don't treat them like a rose bush or like a flower or something. Treat them like you would a tree. Once a week watering when they're established, probably more than enough. They'll go through drought cycles very easily for us. So they're a good mountain plant. All of them go down to crazy cold. So they're zoned for like 4. They go to minus 40 degrees. Some crazy. We'll never see that. No matter where you live in Arizona, you're not going to see that kind of cold. So they'll grow at all those elevations from 4,000 feet above. They're going to do fantastic for you. So lilacs, there's different varieties: dwarfed, standard. In between would be Korean, repeat bloomers, easy to maintain, and every yard should have at least one. Okay, we got that for this segment. Let's come back, take a break. Be right back after this.